Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome back to 365 Days of Love and Miracles with A Course in Miracles. My name is Arlene Geres, and I am so glad that you are here. Please remember to listen right until the very end because we have a special treat for you. And if you enjoy today's video, please click like and subscribe down below because this helps others to find us on YouTube. Today's lesson is lesson number 335. This is our fifth lesson in the section, What is the Ego? We are asked to read this every day for this set of 10 lessons, so let's do that now. The ego is idolatry, the sign of limited and separated self, born in a body, doomed to suffer, and to end its life in death. It is the will that sees the will of God as enemy and takes a form in which it is denied. The ego is the proof that strength is weak and love is fearful. Life is really death, and what opposes God alone is true. The ego is insane. In fear, it stands beyond the everywhere, apart from all, in separation from the infinite. In its insanity, it thinks it has become a victor over God himself. And in its terrible autonomy, it sees the will of God has been destroyed. It dreams of punishment and trembles at the figures in its dreams, its enemies who seek to murder it before it can ensure its safety by attacking them. The Son of God is egoless. What can he know of madness and the death of God when he abides in him? What can he know of sorrow and of suffering when he lives in eternal joy? What can he know of fear and punishment, of sin and guilt, of hatred and attack, when all there is surrounding him is everlasting peace, forever conflict-free and undisturbed in deepest silence and tranquility? To know reality is not to see the ego and its thoughts, its works, its acts, its laws and its beliefs, its dreams, its hopes, its plans for its salvation, and the cost belief in it entails. In suffering, the price for faith in it is so immense that crucifixion of the Son of God is offered daily at its darkened shrine, and blood must flow before the altar where its sickly followers prepare to die. Yet will one lily of forgiveness change the darkness into light, the altar to illusions to the shrine of life itself, and peace will be restored forever to the holy minds which God created as his Son, his dwelling place, his joy, his love, completely his, completely one with him. Let's talk about paragraph 4. If the world of the ego is not real, it is an illusion. Only God is real. Only love is real. Everything that happens in the world of illusions simply does not exist in God's world. To know reality is not to see the ego, its thoughts, its works, its acts, its laws and its beliefs, its dreams, its hopes, its plans for salvation, and the cost belief in it entails. It's like we're all caught up in the same movie, my friends. We're all sitting back and we're watching life unfold on the screen. If we walked out of that movie believing that it was real, believing in its thoughts, its works, its acts, its laws, its beliefs, its dreams, its hopes, if we said, yep, that was real, particularly if it was a really bad movie, if we're going to take that into ourselves, you would say that we were crazy. And yet that's what the world of the ego is. It is a collective dream. When we take those hopes and dreams, we take the laws and the ideas and the hopes and the dreams of the ego and we put them into our lives, we are always going to come up short. The world of the ego will never satisfy us. It will never fulfill us. This is not where love is found. We do not need to suffer 1 second longer at its darkened shrine. We can say goodbye to the world of the ego. As we do our regular practices, we are more and more practicing in being in touch with the God within and accepting that we are simply pure love. Let's read lesson 335. I choose to see my brother's sinlessness. Forgiveness is a choice. I never see my brother as he is, for that is far beyond perception. What I see in him is merely what I wish to see, because it stands for what I want to be the truth. It is to this alone that I respond, however much I seem to be impelled by outside happenings. I choose to see what I would look upon, and this I see, and only this. My brother's sinlessness shows me that I would look upon my own, and I will see it, having chosen to behold my brother in his holy light. Let's imagine that between you and between me is Jesus. As I see you behind, in front, I see the face of Jesus. And when I look at the face of Jesus, I am literally looking at you. The same is true for every one of us, my friends. If you don't believe me, go and look in the mirror. Have a good look deep into your eyes, and there you will see God, my friends. God is inside of you, and God is inside of me. Sometimes we just have to take that moment to see. When we look at our brothers, when we look at our sisters, it's like we're looking at a teeny tiny piece of a jigsaw puzzle. And that tiny piece of the jigsaw puzzle holds just the tiniest bit of information. In our ego world, we take that tiny bit of information and we make all kinds of assumptions and judgments about it. We do the same thing with ourselves. We don't know the whole picture. We don't know ourselves the way that God knows us. And we often judge ourselves the most harshly of all. So let us not do that today, my friends. Let us ask God to help us to think with his mind, to hear with his ears, to see with his eyes, to speak with his voice, and to love with his heart. When we do that, we are given an expanded view. It's like when we're in an airplane, we fly over a town. We see that town very differently than we do when we're on the ground just looking at this tiny little bit. Can you imagine being able to see the entire world, the entire universe from God's perspective? It is unfathomable. We cannot fully know with God's mind. But when we do these practices day after day after day after day, we are always coming in touch with God's mind. We are learning to see with God's eyes. We are learning to hear God's ears. We can stop looking at others and seeing what we wish to see in them. It's like we have a story already in our minds. Do you recognize when you do that, my friends? Sometimes it can drive us crazy. I've already decided before I even talk to you who you are to me. We all fall into this idea of confirmation bias, in which we already have an idea of who this person is. We take little tiny bits of information and we take that to confirm the bias that we already have. If you don't believe me, think about it next time that you say to yourself, oh, that person is a terrible driver. And it might be that person is a certain age group or it's a certain ethnic group. And we've already have this idea in mind. We do not see that person as they truly are. We see them as we believe they are. If I say all teenagers are terrible drivers, I overlook the 99% of them that are good drivers. I only focus on the one who maybe cut me off in traffic. It is important to recognize our conditioning in the world. We have also been taught through movies, through music, through stories that other people have told us, through news reports, that different races represent different things to us. We have been taught that white people are the dominant race, and often we're completely unaware of the biases that we have towards people who are different from us. The ego tells us to be afraid of difference. God tells us that we are all one, and there is no one who is greater, there is no one who is less. But we cannot change if we don't take a look at this within ourselves. There are some great resources on anti-racism on my website at art.arlenegeres.com. I encourage you to take a look, become aware of the hidden biases that we all have, and consciously work to change them. For our practice sessions today, first thing in the morning, last thing, just before we go to sleep, we are asked to read or listen to today's lesson and then and sit in a quiet meditation for as long as we please. Throughout the day, we are encouraged to practice these ideas hourly and often in between, particularly whenever something is upsetting us. We simply say to ourselves, I choose to see my brother's sinlessness, and then we sit and let that idea sink deep into our being. If you would like to close your eyes, I'll read today's prayer one more time. What could restore your memory to me except to see my brother's sinlessness? His holiness reminds me that he was created one with me and like myself. In him I find myself, and in your Son I find the memory of you as well. Thanks so much for listening right until the end, my friends. If you enjoyed today's video, please share the love and encourage others to start at lesson 1 and only do 1 lesson a day. Are you ready for our special treat? And this is the arch that takes us out to the street, which we are going to cross to get to the other side of the hotel to eat our breakfast. I choose to see my brother's sinlessness. I choose to see my sister's sinlessness. I choose to see my own sinlessness. Have a joyous day, my friends. I love you.